Hello everyone. Welcome to UIS. Let's discuss today's prelims topics. Question 1. With reference to algae bloom, consider the following statements. 1. They impact water quality and ecosystem diversity, cause dead zones and cost the fishing and tourism industries millions of dollars. 2. An algal bloom or algae bloom is a rapid increase or accumulation in the population of algae in freshwater or marine water systems. 3. Algal bloom commonly refers to the rapid growth of microscopic algae, not macroscopic unicellular algae. Which of the following given above are correct? How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is B. An algal bloom or algae bloom is a rapid increase or accumulation in the population of algae in freshwater or marine water systems. It is often recognized by the discoloration in the water from the algae's pigments. The term algae encompasses many types of aquatic photosynthetic organisms, both macroscopic multicellular organisms like seaweed and microscopic unicellular organisms like cyanobacteria. Algal bloom commonly refers to the rapid growth of microscopic unicellular algae, not macroscopic algae. An example of a macroscopic algal bloom is a kelp forest. Algal blooms are the result of a nutrient, like nitrogen or phosphorus from various sources, for example fertilizer runoff or other forms of nutrient pollution, entering the aquatic system and causing excessive growth of algae. An algal bloom affects the whole ecosystem. Question to consider the following statements. 1. Inflation, or the inflation rate, is the rate at which the general price level rises. 2. Disinflation refers to the trend when the inflation rate decelerates. 3. Reflation typically follows deflation as policymakers try to pump up economic activity either by government spending more and/or interest rates being reduced. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is C. To begin with, inflation, or the inflation rate, is the rate at which the general price level rises. When it is reported that the inflation rate was 5% in June, it implies that the general price level of the economy, as measured by a representative basket of goods and services, was 5% more than what it was in June 2022. Disinflation refers to the trend when the inflation rate decelerates. Suppose it was 10% in April, 7% in May and 5% in June. This is disinflation. In other words, disinflation refers to a period when even though prices are rising or inflation is happening, it is happening at a slower rate each passing month. Deflation is the exact opposite of inflation. Imagine if the general prices level in June was 5% lower than what it was in June last year. That's deflation. Reflation typically follows deflation as policymakers try to pump up economic activity either by government spending more and/or interest rates being reduced. Question 3. Consider the following statements. 1. The Chief Minister is appointed by the Governor, and the other ministers are appointed by the Governor on the advice of the CM. 2. Ministers would not hold office at the pleasure of the Governor. 3. The Governor can only dismiss the government if it loses majority and refuses to step down. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is B. Ministers hold office at the pleasure of the Governor. Governor must act based on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister. The Governor can only dismiss the government if it loses majority and refuses to step down. The case of Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab saw a 7-judge constitution bench of the Supreme Court ruling that there cannot be a parallel administration within a state by allowing the governor to go against the advice of the Council of Ministers. This means that the governor should not act independently and should follow the advice of the Council of Ministers. In the case of Sanjeevi Naidu versus State of Madras, it was held that the governor is primarily a constitutional head and the government is effectively run by the Council of Ministers. The decision-making authority lies with the Council of Ministers, and matters in which the governor is required to exercise discretion must be decided by the Council of Ministers. Question 4. With reference to Intergovernmental Negotiations Framework or IGN, consider the following statements. 1. IGN is a group of nation-states working within the United Nations to further reform of the United Nations Security Council, UNSC. 2. The group's conversations are considered informal in nature due to the lack of single text and thus, UNGA rules of procedure don't apply. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. Both. D. None. The answer is C. The IGN is composed of several different international organizations, namely the African Union, the G4 nations, the Uniting for Consensus Group, UPSC, also known as the Coffee Club, the L.69 Group of Developing Countries, the Arab League, and the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. Question 5. Consider the following statements about World Asteroid Day. 1. The United Nations has designated 1st July as World Asteroid Day to raise public awareness about the dangers of asteroid strikes and measures that need to be taken in case of a near-Earth object threat. 2. The date was chosen to commemorate the anniversary of the Tunguska asteroid's impact over Siberia in 2008. 3. An asteroid is a small, rocky object that orbits the Sun and are formed at the same time as other objects in our solar system. These space rocks can give a lot of information about the planets and even about their history. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is A. World Asteroid Day 2023. Every year on 30th June, we observe this day to commemorate the anniversary of the Tunguska event in 1908 when a meteor air burst decimated approximately 2000 sq km of pine forest in central Siberia. The United Nations has designated 30th June as World Asteroid Day to raise public awareness about the dangers of asteroid strikes and measures that need to be taken in case of a near-Earth object threat. Question 6. Consider the following statements about neutrinos, often dubbed ghost particles. 1. Am neutrino is a fundamental, subatomic particle. 2. Under the standard model of particle physics, it's classified as a lepton. 3. The neutrino is unique because it has a vanishingly small electrical charge and no mass, and it's found across the universe. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is B. In a nutshell, a neutrino is a fundamental, subatomic particle. Under the standard model of particle physics, it's classified as a lepton. Other leptons include electrons, the negatively charged particles that make up atoms, with protons and neutrons. The neutrino is unique because it has a vanishingly small mass and no electrical charge, and it's found across the universe. They are made in the Sun, in nuclear reactors, and when high-energy cosmic rays smash into Earth's atmosphere. They are also made by some of the most extreme and powerful objects we know of, like supermassive black holes and exploding stars, and they were also produced at the beginning of the universe, the Big Bang. Question 7. What is aspartame, the additive in your diet cola, which the WHO may declare as possibly carcinogenic? 1. Chemically, aspartame is a methyl alcohol of the dipeptide of two natural amino acids, L-aspartic acid and L-phenylalanine. 2. Aspartame is about 2 times sweeter than table sugar. 3. Aspartame is preferred by people trying to cut calories or lose weight, or by diabetics, because while 2 teaspoons, 8 g, of sugar provides about 32 calories of energy, 1 g of aspartame is only 4 calories. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is A. Chemically, aspartame is a methyl ester of the dipeptide of two natural amino acids, L-aspartic acid and L-phenylalanine. It was discovered by James M. Schlatter, a chemist at the American pharmaceutical company G.D. Searle & Co., which is now a subsidiary of Pfizer, in 1965, apparently by accident, when, while researching an anti-ulcer drug, he happened to lick his finger and detected a sweet taste. Aspartame is about 200 times sweeter than table sugar, which makes aspartame far less sweet than other artificial sweeteners like advantame and neotame, but even then, 1 gram of aspartame has the sweetness intensity of roughly 2 teaspoons, about 8 g, of sugar. Question 8. Consider the following statements about halogen. 1. Ocean cool the planet by releasing short-lived halogens such as chlorine, bromine and iodine. 2. Short-lived halogens, which have a lifetime of less than 6 months in the atmosphere, are naturally produced by the oceans. 3. Halogens cause a depletion of ozone in the troposphere. How many of the above statements are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The answer is C. Currently, these halogens contribute 8 to 10% of cooling. This could increase to 18 to 31% by 2100. Short-lived halogens increase methane's lifetime in the atmosphere by destroying hydroxyl radicals, O. O is a sink as it is known to break down this greenhouse gas. Halogen emissions from the ocean are not the same across the world. Over continents, the emissions are small while it is bigger in polar regions and some places with higher ozone levels. Thank you everyone. Do subscribe to this channel. Use code SPLIVE. Unacademy.